What's up guys, and welcome back to another Borderlands 4 patch notes video. This patch note is going to be for October 23rd, 2025. There's a lot of buffs in this update and just a few nerfs. The big one is the crit knife. We knew it was coming. And there's also a lot of fixes for certain interactions with skills. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. And one of the main things in this update is going to be the new content we received. It is a Halloween seasonal event called Horrors of Kairos. It has added two new legendaries. One is a order grenade, the other is a TDR assault rifle. And it's going to drop from the world bosses that just randomly spawn around the map, but it's going to be dropped in the reward center of your inventory, not from the actual kill of the boss when it sprays out all the loot. So this event is going to be live from today, the 23rd, all the way until November 6th. So you got 2 weeks to get the drops. And here we have the Horrors of Kairos event. There is some shift codes down in this. I will link all of the patch notes. So all of your vault hunters across your account will get this head here. You'll be able to get a skin, and then the bosses will now drop either this grenade here and the TDR assault rifle there. So the assault rifle is going to be the Murmur, and so its legendary effect will like instant kill any weak enemy, and then any enemy under 35% health will get automatic crits. And the grenade is called the Scully. It fires projectiles and it homes. And here is the shift code for all of the cosmetics here. Like I said, I will link it down below, or you can just pause the video and copy that down there. And this code does expire 5 years from now, so you have plenty of time to do this. Now, there is quite a bit in this update, so I'm really just going to point out some of the key changes or really important stuff. And one of the main things here is the reduced cost of iridium for your specialization points. And this next one here is added drops to a certain boss fight that was not dropping loot. That's the RJ fight. You just didn't get anything. So now that's fixed. He should be dropping his dedicateds if he has any. Right here, the like collectibles for the ecologs was actually bugged and you wouldn't get your cosmetic for completing it, but that has now been fixed. The lost loot machine now prioritizes higher rarities. So if your weapon or whatever falls off the map, it should now be in your lost loot. They fixed the break free bundle that we got just after launch. Some people weren't able to claim it, and then others, they could claim it, but they couldn't get it on their other characters. It is now shared across your account. So any new character, you'll now have those cosmetics. They did fix a couple of achievements that weren't correctly completing or popping. So those have now been fixed. They made it that the bobbleheads in Pestra's Grotto and Motherbird Node are now accessible. This one is a big one here. My friend has this personally. We played on my account on our first playthrough. He went back to his single playthrough and all of his locations were blacked out. He had no fast travels, no bosses, no nothing. He had to go and rediscover everything. So that has now been fixed. So if you're playing with a friend, don't worry. When you jump back into your solo run, you'll have all of your fast travels still unlocked. This here, they have made it to where fast travel stations have now been unlocked when they intend to. It says, including concerns seen in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Only thing that I noticed, and I can't remember if it was from launch or not, but I loaded up a level 30 character. The only fast travel station I had was that first safe house that you do from the first mission. You're still gonna have to run through the entire map to collect all of your fast travels again. They fixed the legendary vending machine just randomly closing when you're doing the mission to kind of prevent you from taking that legendary at the end of that quest line. So that has now been fixed. A lot of this section here is a lot of like clipping issues during certain missions. So now we're down here into the Vault Hunter changes. So first we have the Gravitar passive, and the augment now applies to Ripper heavy weapons and the Steamer gun, and the entanglement now function how it was designed. And the class mods no longer can roll +5 into pencils down. Here we have the neutron capture now converts all gun damage into radiation and only applies to gunshots. And her flux generator and annihilation interaction now spawns grenades that scale with your level. Moving down here to Amon, shield visuals have been adjusted for improved clarity in combat situations. I'll have some screenshots up here of the before and after. Here's another big one. The seeing red duration is no longer increased per level. It is now capped at 4 seconds. It just now keeps the passive damage that increases per level. They say here in the dev note that it was meant to have insane damage. They just wanted it to be more of a like risk reward kind of thing where they don't want you to just have it up all the time. But if you can keep it up, then you're going to be scaling that damage like crazy. They fixed his blackout skill. It was bugged to where 1 point would actually count as if there was 5 points in that skill. So that has now been fixed. and it has brought the percentage down to 15% rather than 21, but it'll be 15 every point now. And his Raging Inferno skill now properly scales the fire damage as well. Now moving on down to Vex. For all of you Vex mains, myself included, we knew this was coming. Bleed is gone, or the interaction to where it would proc on itself rather than proccing just from your gunshots. It used to, every time you would hit, do kinetic damage no matter the source, even the bleed from the skill itself would proc it, and it would just be an infinite loop of damage. That no longer works. You still can get insane damage from the bleed build, it's just not going to be as infinite as it was. From the beginning of the game, Trouble has been a hot topic of really needing that buff. Trouble has just had no damage whatsoever, but now Double Trouble has 75% more damage. The duration is even longer. It's 8 seconds now instead of 5. And then the Apex Beast damage is now 15 per stack of Unsealed instead of the 10%. So overall, a huge damage buff for Trouble. And then for Rafa, the Apophis Lance has now been changed to penalize your accuracy rather than your handling. And then now Apophis is now benefiting from your cooldown effects. So you'll be able to get it back a lot quicker now. Now moving down to the gear, we have your skills that boost handling, now increase your projectile speed. Haven't seen this interaction, but they have fixed the health regen from the Adrenaline Pup. Now works correctly with the Guardian Angel Shield. And here is the Crit Knife. Crit Knife's not necessarily dead, but it is no longer a 100% chance to crit. It is now only a 30% chance. It still has the same duration of the mark. So if you have like a fast firing weapon, you're kind of unaffected. Rest in peace, Crit Knife. Let's hope that they make like a legendary or like a pearlescent version of it. That was the original. The Songbird can no longer stack damage infinitely. Jacob's weapon parts are updated so that with Ricochet only triggers from intended damage sources. I feel like that was because of the Kickballer. SMG Frangible has now been removed from chest loot tables. It was broken and like it said it would do 0 damage. We thought it would drop from RJ, but seeing as they removed it, it doesn't seem like it just works at all. Vladoff Flamethrowers will no longer deal infinite damage or bypass the bio armor on like the bio thresher. Now we have some assault rifle buffs here. The Star Helix fire rate has now been increased by 33%. The Bonnie and Clyde base damage has been increased by 40%, and the legendary effect has been increased to 150% instead of the 100. The Bugbear now has a damage increased by 40%, and the legendary effect now does 200% more damage rather than the 100%. The Rowan's charge fire rate has been doubled. Its recoil has been reduced. The Lucian's flank damage has been increased by 50%. And same thing, its recoil has also been reduced. And the Aegon's dream damage has been increased by 35%. All class mods have gotten a buff. Any class mod that has melee damage, action skill damage have been buffed. So any class mod that rolls with a melee damage augment on it at level 50 will now always roll at 60%. Skill damage on level 50 class mods has also been increased to 45%. It was 35%. And now we're going to be getting into the Vault Hunter specific class mods. So like their legendary class mods. The Avatar class mod has been increased to 45%. And the Kindred Spirits cooldown on command skill has been increased to 45%. Amon's Blacksmith Forge Drone duration has been increased to 45%. And now the legendary effects increase the Forge Drone damage by 20% per active Forge Drone. The Viking class mod has been increased to 60% on your detonation damage. His Forge Master's class mod has now increased the damage of his Forge skill to 60%. And his Elementalist class mod now increases all damage dealt by 2% per active affinity. On to Harlow's, Biorobot's hazard damage has now been increased to 60%, and the Skeptic's stasis damage has been increased to 60%. There's no changes for Rafa class mods. Rep kits that spawn with the hard hitter are now 50% melee damage rather than 40%. All of the firmware, like Real Big Fist, now is 25% on both rank 1 and 2. Action Fist now does 25% on rank 1. So it says that Action Fist now grants 30% action skill damage at rank 2, but up from 30. So that's unchanged. I don't know why they included that. And then on rank 3 of Action Fist, you will now do 30% more action skill damage on melee kill. Melee shields have now been buffed all around there. And down for the specializations, the only one changed was Groundbreaker. It only will store ordnance, action skill, and gun damage. I believe it was like an infinite loop that it could just keep getting it. So the bonus damage from Groundbreaker would then also proc Groundbreaker again. So you would get an infinitely increasing damage. They fixed the junk anywhere between, I think it was 20 items. It would start marking the item above that if you were marking junk. So that has now been fixed. For those of you that use the combat radar, it now adds a legendary icon on there when there's a drop. Firmware with 3-piece bonuses now show the cooldown icons and will appear down there in the passive bar. They fixed some models and the animations, and then they added and fixed some of the voice lines from some of the NPCs. And then down here, they re-added the shiny sound cue that it would give. And then down here, they improved stability. It says that here that they are still working on making the game run better. I play on PS5, and the only issues that I have is like when I'm playing for hours, the game can slow down, but only when in multiplayer though. And they fixed the ocean drought. So this week's big encore is the battle wagon, and the wildcard mission has changed. It is now dark subject. It has those modifiers there: vampiric, cold-hearted, and invisible. And then you can get the kickballer for completing it, and Maurice's black market has been moved. So overall, I think these buffs and changes and nerfs are pretty good. Every build just included the crit knife because it just increased your damage. Now you can kind of diversify and try out all the other cool grenades and stuff like that. And that's all of the patch notes. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, or maybe there's something that you wish they had added to, or there's something that you want to change, leave them down in the comments. We could talk about it down there. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.